This is the 2023 V6 top spec Everest. And like many of you, I've been wondering what this is like compared to that, the 2022 top spec Everest. Well, the good people of Ford Tiger Valley loaned us the limited edition over there to find out exactly what the differences are between an Everest and an Everest. To start off with, the comparison isn't 100% fair. That is a 2-liter bi-turbo, and this is the V6 single turbo that pushes out 600 Newton meters of torque. But up until last year, that was the top spec model that you could get. But now, the Platinum over here seems to be playing in Prado territory. Despite what the brochure says, this isn't an all-new chassis. It's an updated chassis from the old version over there, but it does have a whole bunch of differences under the skin. These modern-looking C-shaped headlights over here not only look better, but they also shine better as well, with some advanced technology that makes this some of the most advanced lighting systems in the bucky landscape. The bonnet lines and creases are slightly different, but overall, it looks like a Ford, just a really modern one. Before, the maximum size wheel you could get was 20 inches. Now this goes up to 21, and thanks to the new suspension, it's supposed to remain comfortable. We're going to test that shortly. Side sills are different, details are different, and of course, the new light bar that we see everywhere looks completely different. But overall, they've made this look like not just a 2023 model, but potentially a 2025 model. It can now tow up to 3.5 tons, and that tow bar definitely works because I smashed my knee into it the other day and it's still paining. It's still got an electric tailgate and also the seats that fold electrically as well, which was available on the old model as well. The details are different, such as color-coded elements over here compared to the chrome ones of the past, and also this badge over here is slightly different to the old one over there. You've still, however, got keyless entry, but inside is where the major changes take place. Everything feels more modern inside here, from the steering wheel, which is now, thankfully, if I can find the button over there, reach and brake adjustable. Believe it or not, the old one didn't have that. And then, of course, you are greeted by this massive screen over here, which I didn't like at first, but after some getting used to, it's starting to feel a lot more intuitive. For those that like buttons, you do have a volume button over here, but pretty much everything else needs to be controlled from that panel. In front, you now have heated and cooled seats and heated seats at the back. And what's also new is that the steering is also heated as well. It's got a Bang & Olufsen system that has 12 speakers, and just like most Ford buckies and SUVs, sounds very good. It's got permanent 4-wheel drive now as well, and a couple of other new features like adaptive wireless charging and also 2 different types of USB ports. Speaking of wireless, everything is wireless now thanks to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So now it's time for a scientific comparison between these two cars on the road. Let's go. Where's that start button that used to be here? Oh, that's on the other side now as well, by the way. Despite what Gauteng natives think, there are still a few potholes in Cape Town. And I've just driven through one of those with the old spec Everest. Time to try it with this guy. Despite the firmer suspension and bigger wheels, the new Everest does seem to be a bit more composed over the bumps. At this point, I've now spent a fair amount of time in both of these cars. And the smoothness of the 2023 model is the big difference. The suspension seems to have extra bushings, extra suppleness, but without sacrificing other elements. I think the suspension is one of the big wins in this new Everest. 600 Newton meters and a 10-speed gearbox means that overtaking is just effortless. That is one of the big benefits of having a big meaty V6 engine such as this one. The resolution on the screen is ultra high, but this dash, it's not my favorite. I think I'm still stuck in the old days where needles went like this, physical ones, you know what I mean? The driving experience overall is good. The steering feels good and is responsive. The brakes work really well, especially for such a big car, but I do get the sense that the front feels a little bit floaty. That is me nitpicking, but I don't suspect it's any worse than any of its rivals in this class. The reason people are saying that this is a Prado competitor now is because of the list of features. It's got parking assist where you can park in and out of the bay. It's got lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, and much, much more. The lane keep assist, although not intrusive, it's quite gentle, but does let you know when you're wandering a little bit from side to side. Usually the development process means that I would always recommend the older model over the new model because there are inevitably going to be some gremlins. I think with this one there probably will be, but this is effectively not a brand new car, but in fact a developed, updated model. It's got a lot of new changes, which puts it into that Prado territory. For 850,000 though, you could get that one over there, and starting at around 965, you could get the entry-level model on this one over here. So the question remains, should you go new or should you go used? It's all down to the budget and those monthly installments. But also know that Toyota is coming out with an updated Fortuner very, very soon. I do suspect, however, that if you test drove all these models, you'll realize that there is indeed a new king on the block.